Let's get started. It's right at the top of the hour. Thank you so much for joining us today. Before we get started and I jump into what we're doing, I want to remind each and every one of us of one thing. Insights are great, but if you don't pair insight with action, you will fail every single time. And so you are not here to get educated, y'all. You are here to get into action. So I want you to get ready because today we are truly, truly creating an action plan. Welcome to Unicorn Hunting, the magic behind recruiting and retaining top talent. My name is Holly Priestner, and for many of you on this webinar, we are friends or have worked together, and I'm really excited that you jumped on to join me today. And then I also know that we have some people that have never seen a presentation that I've done or taken Career Vision with me, some people that are not with Keller Williams, and we even have a few people that are not in the real estate industry. So let me just take a moment to establish some credibility of why I am leading our webinar today. So my name is Holly Priestner, and right now I serve as the Director of Talent Acquisition and Engagement for Keller Williams Experience Real Estate. If you were in the Keller Williams world, you know that is Chris Suarez's expansion team. And you're probably asking, like, what do you do for a real estate team and talent acquisition and engagement? Well, the way that I like to explain this is an expansion team is a really large real estate team that sells hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate every single year. And then we take our models and our systems and our coaching and training, and we expand across many states. So for example, we're in more than a dozen states. We have about 140 people that are part of our network or our family. And so my job is to hire for the hub, which I think of as a mini corporate headquarters. These are the people who create and innovate every single day to make sure that the people in our network are receiving the best tools and the best coaching of anybody else in the industry. So for example, recently we hired a new director of lead generation. His name is Orlando Solano, and he has more than $1 billion of e-commerce revenue under his belt that is directly tied to his digital marketing efforts. I also have the good opportunity to consult with mega agent teams that are part of our network. So people that are 40, 50, $60 million producers, and I help them assess their overall organizations and compare their goals to the talent that they have in place, help them hire to a 7th level, determine who's on the right seat on the bus, and maybe who needs to be coached up for a new opportunity, or maybe put plans in to help people self-discover that maybe they're not in the right spot. Identify their key hires, map them out, help them tell their value story, and then provide ongoing consulting around hiring. From an engagement perspective, helping generate buzz around our team to attract more talent. That might be getting our name in industry news within Keller Williams, maybe some social media tactics. Really fortunate to be the regional director in Central and West Texas, where we've now recruited about $150 million in production. And then before being part of Experience, I was with Keller Williams Realty International, the corporate headquarters for the world's largest real estate company, where I served as the company's vice president. And before that, I was really tasked with building out a talent brand for the corporate headquarters. And you might know that as life at KWRI. I also recruited for the C-suite and leaders in the company. So people that you might know, like our president, Josh Team, or Bobby Moats, who leads KW Labs. So what I'm really fortunate is that I've learned from the best in the talent industry. So companies like Google, Zappos, LinkedIn, while also learning from the best in the real estate industry, being directly from Gary Keller. And that study does not stop. I am learning every single day so that I can bring valuable content to our team, to people like you, and then also to make sure that I'm sharpening my skills every day, because I definitely don't have it all figured out yet. So this is what we know. We all want some magic bullet that unveils exactly what we need to do in our business when it comes to recruiting and retention. Y'all, the good thing about recruiting magic is that it's very similar to the magic that you have in your real estate business. You're telling your story, you're communicating your value, you're adding METs to your database, and you're staying in touch. You're listening to what their needs are, you're doing a needs analysis, and you're providing win-win opportunities. So it doesn't matter why you are on today's webinar. Maybe you're on it simply to grow your profit share tree. Maybe you need to hire a new team member yesterday. I know that most of us do feel like that at any moment in time. It doesn't matter what, maybe you're just building a bench. I see one of our experienced team members who knows that he's making his next hire in 6 months. So John Robert, I'm giving you a big shout out. He knows that he needs to make a hire in 6 months, yet he's building his talent bench right now. It doesn't matter what your talent goals are. Today, we are going to build out your business plan or your 135 so that you can focus on achieving your talent goals. So I just was telling Katie, our director of marketing, this. It's a little awkward to be on a webinar where I can't see y'all. So make sure that you are typing in any of the questions that you might have or comments. We'll be happy to read them aloud if it's to add value to the entire group. Or I'll also be happy to follow up with you later on, offline if you have some specifics. Again, I'm passionate about these topics and I'm fortunate to have learned from the best. And so I'm happy to share. But let's dive right in. So no one succeeds alone. If you are part of Keller Williams, you have heard co-founder Gary Keller say this over and over again. Y'all, none of us are superheroes. Maybe we think we are and that we can do it all, but where does that leave us? Exhausted, running from one task to the next without any clear purpose other than juggling a bunch of balls? Where is our happiness in that? When I think about why Gary built Keller Williams, businesses worth owning, lives worth living. When I think about Experience's mission, creating experiential lives through real estate. If we're doing everything by ourselves and we're exhausted and we're juggling and we're not paying attention to the things that fuel us are the most important, there's no happiness in that for us. Where does that leave our loved ones? We're not paying attention to them. Where does that leave our business? And y'all, as business leaders or up and coming business leaders, where does that allow us to create opportunities for other people, which should be our number one goal? So sometimes it's painful, right? Like we're proud of what we've built. We're proud of how far we've come. Sometimes it might be painful to realize that there's aspects of our job or what we do that someone can probably do better. The other thing, we know logically that we can't do it all, that maybe we have trust issues. But to break through that ceiling of achievement, to grow a really big business and a really good life, we need to make sure that we remember that no one succeeds alone. And that's why we have this focus on talent. But let's look at this another way. I recently heard Carrie Lorenz speak. Look at this quote. We all have blind spots. We have to have a trusted wingman. If you don't know who Carrie Lorenz is, Google her or even read her book, Fearless Leadership. She was the first female F-14 Tomcat pilot. Her story of her relentless pursuit of her goals is amazing. You see, Carrie went into training when there were still laws in place that prevented women from flying in combat missions. So that's pretty cool that she overcame some pretty big barriers to live her dream. But in this case, what's so important for us to focus on is her philosophy on teamwork and having world-class talent on your team, which is equally as important as going for your goals and being relentless in their pursuit. So think about it this way. When it comes to talent, we are not just looking for people who we can leverage for tasks in order to make our lives easier. Y'all, we are searching for world-class talent to watch our blind spots. We might be great. I think you are, or you wouldn't be invested in your hour today about learning for talent. You are fantastic. You probably have tremendous intuition, unbreakable models and systems. Now, if you really have unbreakable models and systems, I want to talk to you because you are truly a unicorn. But y'all, it doesn't matter about our systems or our intuition, our natural abilities. We can't see everything, and we bring our own biases into the business. I love this thought by Dr. Henry Cloud, which really drives this point home. People tend to build their businesses in their own image, meaning whatever you are good at, your business will look like that. It will also look like what you are not good at. Did you catch that? As you're building your business, you're building it with your own image. So whatever you're great at, your business is going to be great at. And whatever you're not great at, that's going to be reflected in your business too. So we need to be in a conversation with talent that's willing to be our wingman, talent that's willing to speak up and help us see our blind spots, and more importantly, cover those blind spots. So with that thought in mind, let's dive right in and see how we can tactically build that business plan or 135 for attracting and retaining top talent. So our marketing team sent out the workbook today. So I hope that you've printed it out and that you're taking notes and you're using that as a resource as we build the 135. Now, if you did print that out or take a look, you probably noticed that it's actually a 145 because we're taking this one step further than we normally would in our business plan. So the 145, we have one overarching goal, 4 priorities that are going to help us get there. And with each priority, we are going to have 5 strategies to actually implement to move the ball forward. A quick refresher on the 135, or in this case, the 145, the things that we put down in order to really execute, to be clear in our vision and to move our business forward. Anytime you're using a 135, but also specifically related to talent, we need to make sure that everything we write down is a SMART goal: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-stamped. And you know what? Whenever I follow up after we finish this webinar later today, I am going to send you a really cool video that Chris Suarez actually did in teaching the 135. If you're a little rusty, or if you're new to the Keller Williams systems and you're thinking, what is this 145 business plan? I'll send a resource to you. Okay, so let's make up a hypothetical talent goal. This is your one. So at the top of your workbook, that top thing, this is your goal. I'm going to give you a couple examples, but you probably have your goal in mind. So maybe your number one goal is to be in a formal talent relationship with 10 people by December 31st, 2019. That formal relationship could mean that you're growing your profit share tree. It could mean that you're like John Robert. You're like, I'm hiring someone in 6 months and I'm going to be ready to do that because I've been intentional about the conversations. But you see, you know what your goal is. It's a SMART goal. It's specific. It's measurable. Whenever you look at the 10 people, it's attainable. Yep, it's May, guys. We have 6 more months to be in intentional talent conversations. That is not an overwhelming goal. And then also it is relevant because let's use profit share or a potential future hire. You know that it's relevant, that you need to be in these relationships, and then it's time stamped, December 31st. But let's use another goal that you could use. So maybe you are in a lot of pain and you need a buyer's agent and you're like, gosh, I need to be hiring 1 buyer's agent and 1 director of operations by August 1st. So again, very specific. You know exactly the 2 positions that you're looking for. It's measurable. Did you or did you not do it? It's attainable. You can make 2 key hires regardless of how small you are between the middle of May and the beginning of August. And it's incredibly relevant, right? It's directly related to your goals for the year and how you're going to break through that barrier. So simple enough. I mean, it's simple. I'm not going to say it's easy. We always say that. Success is simple, not easy. But let's move on. We understand a goal. So take a minute and write down what your goal is, or a quick note about what you believe your talent goal is. But that's not where we get stuck. We tend to know what we need, but what we're lacking is how we actually get there. How do we execute? And that's why we need a business plan or a 145 to help us to break it down into digestible chunks. It's going to go back to the old metaphor. How do we eat the elephant? We eat the elephant 1 bite at a time. So we're going to just launch in to our first priority. So if you're following along with your workbook, take some notes. You want to build your talent foundations by June 31st. So what do I mean by talent foundations? Before we can attract people to our organization or even attract them to Keller Williams, if you're working on your profit share tree, we have to lay the foundation to make sure that our world is attractive to talent. I think about expansion systems orientation, a really powerful Keller Williams class, built on or focused on business building or empire building. The very first thing in that class is you must confront reality. You really focus on where you want to go, what's really happening around you, where are those blind spots, and determine, assess yourself as a leader, and is your organization and your leadership attractive to other people? So when I talk through building a talent foundation, then we need to think through, what does that mean? So we're going to say by June 31st, because I just got a question. It said June 31st. There's 30 days left in June. Oh, thank you. So we should have put June 30th. But what I mean is you should be able to build your foundations in the next month or so. So the first strategy in order to do that is build your talent Disney. So a lot of you have seen the Disney org chart, this little drawing right here, and other content. You have to know where you are going. Start with the end in mind. How big is your vision for your organization? This is your opportunity to really dream big. When Walt Disney started his company, it started out as a little mouse, a little character, and it evolved into theme parks, cruise lines, movies, Disney princesses, swag, all of this stuff. It was music. It was a massive, massive empire. He started with the end in mind. Chris Suarez actually tells this story. He was invited to a private club at Disneyland by another Keller Williams agent that's a big Disney supporter. And there was a clip, and it was the first time that Walt's widow walked into Disneyland. And they said, "Don't you wish that Walt could see this? What would he think?" And Mrs. Disney said he did see this in his mind. His vision was so clear. He knew what he was going to accomplish. So this is the fun part. Where are you going? Start with the end in mind. How are you thinking so big that you attract those empire builders to help you build that organization? So that whenever you grow up and your organization is fully built out, it's because you've attracted the right talent that could see infinite growth. So that whenever your organization is big, those people are moving their goals forward, and you are sitting on an island without a laptop or a cell phone, enjoying the view, because your vision was so big, it created opportunities for so many people to lead that you don't even need to be there anymore. And what's even more important, that allows you to focus on taking a stand on your first hire. And every hire after that is every single talent that you're talking to. Are they strong enough? Do they share in that vision? Did they understand where you're going so that they can help you get there? The next part, we talk about this a lot in Keller Williams. Strategy number 2. Clearly define your mission, vision, and values by June the 7th. Again, we're putting some dates around this to make it digestible so that we don't just get stuck in inaction because there's so much to do, but we're chunking it down. So do your mission, vision, and values, do they really reflect who you are? Are you living them? Or are they just rhetoric on paper? And then let's take that one step further. Many of us are entrepreneurs in someone else's organization. If you are in someone else's organization and you're growing your empire, are their mission, vision, and values reflective of you? If they're not, y'all, get out. Get out of business with that person and go where that mission and vision and values are congruent with you. Everyone in your organization should be able to point to your mission, vision, and values. Culture is not cool office space or having bold walls painted on your wall. Culture is that everyone is in line with that mission, vision, and values. I recently, referenced Dr. Henry Cloud. I recently heard him speak on defining the mission, vision, values, and he said, your mission, vision, and values is how you are going to win. Can every single person on your team answer this? I've read a lot about why this is important, and research shows that people do not want to work with or for a company because of what they do. They are on board with you because of why you do it. So I'm going to use experience as an example. I'm on board with experience because we're creating experiential lives through real estate. That's my life. That's the life around of the people around me. I am bought into that mission, vision, and values. When I consult with big mega agent teams that are in our organization, the first thing we do is do a deep dive into the mission and vision and values and create talent language that we're going to put out to the world so that talent is attracted to them because of why they are in real estate, not because they are in real estate. Strategy number 3, establish your track record of success by June 14th. Talent wants to be a part of a winning team. Who doesn't want to be a part of a winning team? But in order to attract the right talent, you have to show that track record of success. So it might be how your organization is winning right now. If you're just getting started, it might be how you've won in the past. But you must be able to show that there's traction for winning so that talent will get on board and help you win even more. And then strategy number 4, identify your leadership commitment by June 14th. So think through this. This is a premise straight from John Maxwell's Law of the Lid. Leadership ability determines a person's level of effectiveness. To attract quality talent, you have to continuously grow so that there is no lid in sight. You don't want to attract top talent and then they get out of business with you because they are outgrowing you or they're moving faster than your organization can keep up with them. Again, I'm going to go back to using Chris Suarez as an example. The reason that I'm in business with Chris is I know that he is on a relentless quest to lift his leadership lid every single day. He reads at least one book a week. He's listening to podcasts like crazy. He's in multiple coaching programs and he seeks Gary Keller's mentorship and counsel on a regular basis. There are no limits in experience because Chris is always growing. And not only does that allow me to be an entrepreneur that's never going to outgrow Chris, to know that I can build my talent empire within his organization, it also puts a fire under me to make sure that I'm on a quest for infinite growth. Y'all, that pushes me. I am trying to keep up with Chris. I'm probably only like 75% there, but that puts a fire under me. So ask yourself, who are you as a leader? How are you growing? And how can you demonstrate that to attract top talent? And then the 5th strategy, whenever we talk about building our talent foundations, is define your standards for talent. So, I put a date of June 31st on this, just again, because we're just chunking this down into small digestible pieces. But what's as important to you as someone's skills or ability or background is a definition around talent. That talent is not, that definition or standard is not about a particular person. That is about what's important to you and your organization. We're all going to say teamwork, right? We're all going to say people that push us and challenge us, people that can see our blind spots. Map that out. But also, what are some non-negotiables for you? I'll give you my personal example, honesty. Like, if you lie to me, it is over. I don't care how bad the truth is. Just come clean. It'll be fine. We'll figure it out. Honesty is a non-negotiable for me when it comes to the talent that is in my world. Yesterday, the big teams that are part of Experience, these $50, $60 million producers, we collaborate and have talent sessions every single week. And we were talking about this. And one of them said, gosh, they have to have an abundant mindset, right? That's a really awesome non-negotiable for the talent that you let into your business. So as you build your foundations, come up with your list. My list is right in front of me on my bulletin board. And so anytime I'm talking to talent, I look at that and I think, are they honest? Are they going to push me? Do they have some sort of informal growth plan that they've communicated to me? Like, what does that look like? Are my non-negotiables showing up with every single person that I speak to? And when you're building your foundations, it's so important to write those down and evaluate every single person that you bring on board. And I'm also going to say this. Also use that when evaluating the talent that's in your organization. We're going to talk about retention later on. Are those non-negotiables showing up with the people that you have on board? But we'll go through that later. All right. So that was our priority number 1. Next, if you're following along in your workbook, we're going to move on to priority 2. Cultivate 5 new relationships a week. If you are serious about this quest for talent, this should be the bare minimum. This is when we get into the search. This is how we identify the people that we want to be in a talent conversation with. We've learned this through research, right? In order to have enough candidates that are really strong, you need to be talking to 5 people every single week. Stats show that 1 out of 5 will be worth moving into the next step of the interview process. So get it? 1 of the 5 are going to be worth moving in to the next step of the interview process. Or in your case, if you're just building a bench or growing your profit share tree, worth it for the next step to be worthy of your time. So what's our first strategy? Ask for 1 referral from 2 agents a week, or if you're not in the real estate business, ask for 1 referral from 2 of your allied resources, people you're in business with, people that you know, but ask for 2 referrals each and every week. Next, attend 1 industry event each month, and when you're there, make 1 strong connection. Again, we want to make that's something that's actionable, right? We don't want to get bogged down in just minutia and can we move forward? 1 industry event a month. It doesn't matter if you're in marketing, advertising, technology, real estate. I'm thinking about the people that are on this webinar today. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. Go to 1 event each month and make 1 strong connection. I have failed forward on this a million times. Like I get to an event, I want to meet as many as people as I possibly can. That's not the way to go about doing this. This is what we should do, is focus on that, because again, that gets overwhelming. You collect these names. You have a hard time keeping all the people straight. You're not following up with them. Make 1 meaningful connection. Have 1 strong conversation. So let's put this into real estate terms. And say you're growing your profit share tree. There are a few places where you can reach multiple non-KW licensed agents. Think about your local board. They're putting on multiple events each month. And y'all, don't hit the snooze button, right? As soon as we think about our board of realtors, we're thinking about really boring continuing education classes that don't hold a candle to the training that we get within Keller Williams or with Inman or other organizations. Y'all, your board is having some fun events. Just in the past few months, I went to an event at a brewery, a local brewery in Austin, which was super fun, Austin Beer Works. And then I also went to a bowling night. It sounds cheesy, but it was so much fun. And while I was with people I knew, the lane next to me were 2 agents and a title company that I've never done business with. I made a really meaningful connection with the title company. And it's someone that focuses in a niche market where I need to know people. It was really easy for me to follow up with that one person and to go deep with that relationship. And now it's easy for me. I met his son. We had this great conversation. It's easy for me to provide value in, articles that I read or different things that I see that tie to his business. I can mention his son and he's quick to give me referrals because we had a meaningful conversation. So don't go into it thinking, hey, this is speed networking or speed dating. Have the mindset that you're going and that's in there to make 1 meaningful connection, which could lead to 1 recruit or 1 referral. Next, this is my favorite. Create a talent referral campaign for your database and your allied resources. I put a date of June 15th on this. That talent referral campaign is just with 2 touches monthly. Doesn't have to be overwhelming. And at the end of the webinar, I'll talk through resources on how to do that. But really just asking the people that you've worked with in the past, so your past clients, a vendor that you work for, they know you. They know how your team operates. They know what you're all about. They're in the prime position to offer you talent referrals. And the other thing, y'all, you're doing them a favor. How many times do we have friends that are looking for new opportunities on the horizon? I'll give you an example that happened to me. You might have heard me say this before, but one day I was at a Greek food restaurant where you order at the counter and they make you a kebab. And this amazing, dynamic 19-year-old is giving me some incredible service. He's talking to me about the sauces and what garnish I should be putting on my kebab. And I thought, wow, if he can give me this strong a service on my kebab and a sauce, what could he do in the real estate industry? How would he be able to add value to clients, to teams? That was just an everyday talent moment. You betcha I'm in a talent conversation with that kid. And it's been about 18 months. He's finishing college. I don't want to take away from that, right? So as you're going through your day-to-day activities, Talent is around every corner. So be intentional and find one candidate every single week and just an everyday moment. And then strategy number 5, make a rock star list and add to it every single week. So devise your list by the end of this month and then add to it on an ongoing basis. So I am going to give you an example. Like, who are you in a relationship with today that you wish you were in business with someday? They might be thinking the same thing, believe it or not. This is really funny. About 18 months before I left Keller Williams Realty International, I journaled about my path into an entrepreneurial role. And the number one thing in that journal entry said, be in business with Chris Suarez. Y'all, I forgot about that. Fast forward, family reunion this year, Chris received a message from someone that used to be part of Experience and moved somewhere else, and it didn't really make sense for them anymore. And that person sent him a message and said, it's so fun to see you and Holly together. I remember seeing her on stage one time, and you said, I am going to be in business with her someday. Right? You don't know the people that you wish to be in business with might want to be in business with you. As your organization grows and your vision grows and you start to evolve, that's going to open up opportunities to be in business with people that you never thought possible. Let's use Kristen and Carter Williams as an example. They have a mega agent team in Austin, Texas. Very dear friends of mine, extremely talented. I've always wanted to be in business with Kristen and Carter Williams. And now they're part of Experience, growing up, our coaching platform. All right. Thanks for bearing with us, y'all. I don't know what's happening with Webinar Champ. We will get to the bottom of it. All right. So priority 3, build a campaign and stay top of mind by June 15th. So like I mentioned in the very beginning, the recruiting is just like adding METs to your database, right? This is the real estate game routine. I have no idea what's going on with our software, but I appreciate that there are still 50 people on here, and let's just keep going. You are amazing and we appreciate you. So what we mean is build a talent campaign. So like I said, recruiting is just like your database. And so you want to have your METs, put them in your database, and stay in touch with them over time. So begin with career visioning. So if you have someone and you have a hot need for them, start career visioning immediately. So for those of you that aren't in Keller Williams, career visioning is our recruiting process. So maybe your company doesn't have something like career visioning, but there follows some sort of process. And what I mean by that is, people show up awesome the first few times that you speak to them. No doubt about it, right? Like, they are incredible. They can put on their game face. They can look shiny and amazing and smart. But it's over time that we start to see if they're consistent, if they're just putting on a game face, or if they are who they show up as in that first conversation. So for example, a screening interview, you go to the next one, you go to the next one. By the third or fourth conversation, they feel comfortable with you. They've let their guard down. They're going to say what's really on their mind. And so take them through a process. Don't just have a couple conversations. Be intentional. The other thing that I want you to be mindful of is how important it is from an ROI perspective to really put your emphasis on recruiting conversations versus other appointments. There's so many times, we're in production and we're moving fast and we think, gosh, I need to go work with that buyer or seller versus have this talent conversation. So you're thinking about maybe that's a $14,000 commission or a $30,000 commission if I get that listing. But what if you got in business with the right talent? How could you leverage that time for that to be 2 or 3 $15,000, $30,000 commissions? With the right talent, you can have that commission over and over and over again because you prioritized the talent conversation over other appointments. You're never going to be a CEO of your own destiny without being intentional about those conversations. And then, just like with real estate, build a touch campaign so that you're staying front of mind with talented humans because they have other people going after them too. Unicorns are getting called by a lot of people. Make sure that you stand out because you're staying in touch the most. And then invite talent to an event once a month. So if you're in Keller Williams, your market center has events, your region has your events. If you're on a team like ours, we have events like a partner call every single week led by Chris Suarez, regardless of the role, sales, operations, marketing, anyone is going to see value in that coaching session, right? It's a treat to be on that call. And it also gives people the opportunity to see what it's like on your team, how you operate as a team, how you operate as a brokerage, how you operate as a company. How collaborative are you? What is the culture of accountability? What are you celebrating together? Make sure that you're inviting them to see how they show up in your world, to get a feel like, do they fit in? But also to keep them warm and get them to kind of start feeling some FOMO, right? Like once they come to one great class, they're going to want another one and another one and another one. Once they see you and your team having a great time together, they're going to want more of that as well. And then create a social media list and engage with talent on a weekly basis. We don't want to get sucked into that social media vortex, but whenever you have people that are just true rock stars, that rock star list that you have, put them in a Facebook group and then just engage with them on a weekly basis. Just jump in on a weekly basis and see what they're up to. Like them, comment. If it's their birthday, go above and beyond, text them, email them, call them, but really figure out a way to engage those rock stars and keep constant on what's happening in their lives, both from a professional perspective and a personal relationship. Nothing wows talent more than for you to remember the small details about their life to show that you really care about them, not just for what they can do for your business, but because you really care about who they are as people. And then have a career conversation with your brightest on an ongoing basis. So what do I mean by that? After you've built trust and you have that rock star list and you have that ongoing rapport, when there's people that you're really interested in, have a conversation about where they want to go and learn about their dreams, their vision, what's going on in their world, so that then you can be intentional about starting to carve out a space for them in your business. And then let's move on to our final priority. Create a retention plan by June 21st. So why is this so important? This is so important because to attract the right talent, you have to retain the right talent. In Keller Williams, we say all the time, A players attract A players. B players attract B or C players. You want an organization built of A players. Recently I was at EntreLeadership and I loved this. Dave Ramsey used the example of thoroughbreds want to be around thoroughbreds. They don't want to be around donkeys. So we think about this. If this person that you're talking to is a number one draft pick, like the NFL draft, you should be recruiting and retaining people that are going to help you build a championship team. I'm going to go back to Dave Ramsey. He said that his organization has a 95% turnover rate when they are hiring. And so part of that retention piece of building out the retention plan is making sure that you have that 95% turnover rate when you are hiring, that you are being so selective that you are only hiring 5% of the people that you're in a conversation with. Part of building that world-class organization is really cultivating those standards and having a culture of accountability. And so how do we do this in retention? So we use this chart. This is straight out of career visioning. This is, what is talent versus non-talent? As you look at the people that you're retaining, or you're looking at the people that you're recruiting, or you're looking for the people that you have in your world right now, are they talent? Are they non-talent? Y'all, if they're not talent, get them out of your world, because your world is not going to attract thoroughbreds or A-plus players if your organization is not filled with them. If you wouldn't hire the people in your world again, don't stay in business with them. But what does this mean from the recruiting perspective, this retention plan? Have an expectations conversation before your talent enters your world. We have tools around this. You have the job description. You have their first 100 days. We have dialogues about how they want to be approached about sensitive issues, what their coaching conversation should be like, tying it back to their big why, what motivates them, but really making it clear what is expected for them in the role, but also what is expected on like how to behave or how to operate in your organization. Which leads to the next part, y'all. We need to have check-ins when they're new in an organization, have check-ins during their first 100 days. Put that on the calendar. Don't let it go. It's not their weekly coaching session. It's not some sort of tutorial. It's really looking at their first 100 days and seeing, are they nailing the role, and having those scheduled ahead of time. Then hold weekly 411s and quarterly talent assessments. So if you're not with Keller Williams, 411 is a weekly coaching session. We have a tool around that. And also take that one step further, and every quarter assess your talent. Like in our organization, we actually have a form and a tool that we use for quarterly assessments to make sure that people don't just nail it in the beginning and then taper off, or have a good month and a bad month and a good month and a bad month. And then sooner or later that goes to having 3 bad months and 1 good month. And there's not a lot of consistency there. Having those quarterly conversations and assessments allow you to take a step back and look at, are they being consistent? Are you having retention, accountability, and success on a consistent basis? Is your talent, are your A players staying A players? And then this is one of my favorites. When there is a problem, address it immediately. As a leader, you lose credibility immediately if you are allowing problems to stay in your organization. Having a retention plan, and if you're retaining your A players, is to make sure that you take care of your problems immediately. Inside every problem, you will find a person, right? If you're having problems in your organization, you can almost identify with who that starts with every single time. Everyone in your organization knows where those issues are, and they're wondering why you as a leader are not doing something about it. So quickly fix and adapt. And that doesn't mean that you're firing people left and right. That means that you as a leader are like having, expectations conversations, fears conversations, coaching conversations, giving that talent every opportunity to rise to the occasion. Or if they're not willing to rise to that occasion, then you're getting the B or C players out of your organization so that you retain those A players. And then to me, this is the most important thing. Create a growth plan with each and every single one of your team members. Y'all, you want to help them. You want to make sure that they're growing, and they have an annual growth plan, and that's on their 411. The best way to retain anyone is to show that you are invested in them and their long-term success, and that you're making sure and you're holding them to it. It's not like, you create this plan and they never execute, but are you checking in on that every single week to make sure that they are moving themselves forward? If you continue to encourage them to grow, and you can see where they're growing and how they're growing, that allows you to continue to evolve your vision and your organization to keep them, to retain them, to make sure that they're not outgrowing you. And most importantly, as a leader, these people are putting their lives, their livelihood, their families, they're putting that into our hands. It is up to us. It is our responsibility to make that happen. And another quote from Chris Hogan that I just love: people are not just working for you, they are counting on you. So, so, so important. So, we just went through this so very, very quickly. Like, we built out that business plan for recruiting and retaining. We have an action plan, right? Where we tend to get stuck is, how do we actually implement some of these things? Like, how do we tell our story? How do we build the campaigns? What do we do? And so Experience is rolling out a 4-week class based just on that, developing your recruiting story and building your talent foundations, creating a lead gen lever for talent and going on the search, building out your actual touch campaigns so that you know what to actually send out to those talented people that are becoming your talent database, and identifying powerful questions and career conversation starters so that you can start to attract people into your world. And then learning the scripts for both recruiting and retention. Again, we keep talking about retention because retention and retaining the right people is just as important as the recruiting aspect. So if you go to this website, you can learn more about that class or sign up. There's a code for everyone that's on here today to get it for $99. So thank you to our marketing team for making that possible. Talent 19. And then again, y'all, here's my contact information. Holly Priestner, email me if you have any questions or comments about today's session. Also, if there's content that you wish to learn in the future, please let me know. We have lots of content that we want to share. We're passionate about this. This is my favorite topic on the planet, and I love connecting with people about it. And more importantly, thank you for spending an hour of your day with me. There are still so many people on this webinar, and we had so many technical difficulties. So I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a very, very happy Memorial Day weekend. Talk to you soon.